to visit another person's virtual woolshed. Dione Jones has just recently brought out this book, The Alexandrite. So let's go and meet with Dione and ask her about the book.
Well, now, that's interesting. I mean, when I came to write the book, I couldn't think what to call it. My daughter-in-law's father is a professor of geology. And when I was wondering what I was going to write about at all, he said, well, this is a jewel that I'd never heard of, nobody had heard of. It's more valuable than a diamond, and it was mined in Russia, and or the valuable ones were mined in Russia, they're no longer, and named after Tsar Alexander. And so that sort of got me thinking, and hence I brought the stone into the story. It has an unusual property in that it changes color. It goes from green in daylight to pink at night. So it's which is called the Alexandrite effect.
Right.
And so that allowed me to expand a bit in the book.
Yeah, and I think I'll just read a little bit about the actual story, because I think also you say that those colour changes are to do with what happens to characters in the book. So I'll just read a little bit about it, not too much, because absolutely. There's a lot of very good mystery and intrigue in this book, but we don't want to give away. Yeah. But I'll just read this little bit. Who is the stranger found dead in the wood outside Pamela, Lady Skelton's family home? Why was he carrying a stone that changes colour and a threatening letter? The quest leads from World War I to the present day, and from an English village to New Zealand farmland, to discover what past events are entwined with the present. To unravel the mystery, Pamela is forced to confront truths and shatter her beliefs about her family and their place in the world. So that's really interesting, and today is Anzac Day, so I'm just interested why you chose to start this book in World War I.
Well, that still fascinates me. World War I, probably more so than World War II, everything changed after World War I. The New Zealanders went off to sort of save the empire and help all those at home and all that silly colonial stuff. And when they got there and they found what it was like, and they found that maybe the British weren't such wonderful people as they thought, and maybe New Zealanders should be their own country. It sort of started that whole identity of New Zealand. And both sides, I think, when people went back to England, they were very different. They no longer wanted to work for women particularly wanted to work. They'd worked during the war, and they thought it gave them independence. So it changed the whole way society was structured.
And I think you show those parallels very well, because you've set the novel partly in England and partly in New Zealand.
Yeah, yes, for that reason, really. And it was interesting because also, apart from the changes after the World War I, of course, we've got the changes down the generation, because the book is a bit like your book. It flashes back to earlier times, which have now affected the present generation.
That's right. And also we're seeing a very interesting character arc in Pamela, the main character, who is, I mean, I know nothing about England's history, but I mean, she is part of what has been an ancient aristocracy, and which is unraveling as well.
Yes, very much. In fact, she isn't really, because although she married somebody with a minor title, her father had a big shop. And so as far as the snooty English thought, well, she was in trade. And that wasn't really quite, so she wasn't actually quite the blue blood. And this has obviously affected her as she then married Charles, and she was very happy until he had post-traumatic stress disorder, and after that sort of got worse and worse, and so it left her a bit of a wreck by the time he died, which is where the book really starts.
That's
Although
right.
he's not the dead body.
No, he's not. No, he is not the dead body. We won't allude who the dead body is, who Pamela interestingly finds with his gumboots sticking out of her hedgerow when she's out walking her dogs.
Yes, absolutely. The dogs find it. Of course the dogs find it.
And you've used very real settings in New Zealand, and I know nothing about the English countryside. Is Ashley Village actually a real place in England?
Well, I grew up in England in a village similar to Ashley, but I couldn't actually use that village because I haven't been back to it for some time, and it would have changed. It wouldn't be how I remembered it. So I used an imaginary village, actually very hard to get a name that hasn't already been used for English village. But anyway, I don't think there is an Ashley.
Right, excellent. And so, well, there is now because you've created it. You've created it. Yeah. And so is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the story that would help people understand whether it's the sort of book they would like to read? I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a very fast-moving book, and I found it fascinating watching this beautiful stone changing hands. It actually passes through many hands, the stone.
It does pass through many hands, and the family that ends up with it in New Zealand, it's part of their heritage. It's become part of their heritage, and it's interesting the stories that are attached to it. So yes, and the people change like the stone. So that was the idea that I wanted to get. Still a mystery.
Still a mystery, a very good mystery.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a mystery, but tell me about, you've got the drench barrels hanging, you've got the drench packs hanging on your wall. This really is a real woolshed, and
it is a real woolshed. Let me show you. Yes, it is a real woolshed.
Look, well done. And so we need to talk a little bit about lockdown. Obviously, the woolshed could continue functioning in lockdown, and so how's lockdown been for you?
I mean, like you, I'm very thankful that I live on a farm and I've got places to walk and I can walk the dogs, and and it's not the end of the world if I don't have to go off the farm. And but it's been difficult. Have you found it difficult to write during the lockdown?
To be truthful, I have been painting and making concrete people and not writing at all. But I'm thinking May might be a good month for getting back to writing.
Exactly. There's too many other things going on, and people are under stress, and you look at the news and you think, oh my God, it's a strange world.
It is. It's a very strange world. But for us, it's actually been quite social with 5 people in our bubble and a different master chef every night. So it's actually, there's been a lot of things getting in the way of writing.
Oh, that's quite good. No, we have my son and his family live next door. They're in a different bubble, but we do bring the bubbles together, but apart, if you know what I mean. We have in fact, this afternoon we'll have drinks out there, and he'll bring the kids up and we'll all stay 2 meters apart, but we're looking forward to going down a level next week, I must admit.
And do you have another project in the wings, even if you haven't been working on it recently?
The next one is, yes, I've got, as I say, I like that First World War scenario, so the next one is going to be historical, and it all takes place again, England and New Zealand, but it'll involve a horse. Couldn't keep away from horses for that long, so this one will involve a horse.
A horse that travels between the two countries, or
yes, the horse from home.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Oh, excellent. We'll look forward to looking out for that one when it comes along. Now, how can people get your book in the lockdown?
Right. It should be available from bookshops, and I think the bookshops will be going online next week.
Yes.
It's available from Amazon and Book Depository internationally, so it is there. But it's also available from cloudingpress.co.nz, and we've got some in stock, so that'll be on its way.
Thank you very much. I think we should both be challenging ourselves to get back to at least some writing in May. Do you think that's a good starting off point? Okay.
I quite agree. Okay.
Good. Bye now.
Thanks, Kirsty.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.